them. It's their problem.
Well, last year they delivered it and picked it up, but this year I think they lost their help, so they didn't offer. Oh, hey, hi, America. Welcome to the Eric and Robin show without Rodney. It's presented by Offensively Creative and Dinsmore Steel and Volare. It doesn't matter though. Hold on. No, gassy. I drank a lot this weekend. Today we have a very special guest. He seems very cool already. He's from the Bronx, so that's these New York types. Matt Harms from Penforhire. Welcome to the show, Rob.
Welcome to the show, Matt.
Thank you. I'm not quite sure what us New York types are like, but I'll leave that up to the listener and viewer's imagination.
I've seen The Sopranos and fucking Goodfellas. I know.
He was from Jersey.
Same thing. You're in that fucking area. You Jets fans. Who are you, John? What's your football team?
Steelers.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we got our asses kicked yesterday, so I'm a little hungover too.
Yeah, well, as a Patriots fan, I have a lot of good feelings about the Steelers. You beat us. Ben Roethlisberger ended our streak of consecutive games won. I think it's 17, but then we beat you in the AFC Championship game. That was in 2003. So I like the Steelers.
Yeah, I mean, our motto is kind of like never win when it counts.
Well, you have a few. What do you got? 5? You have 5, right? Or 4?
6.
4? 6. That's right. I get confused. That's right.
It's funny when you Americans always talk about football. You talk about like, oh, we beat you, like you're running on the field doing it.
You know what I say? I go, we won and they lost, because when the Patriots lose, I want no part of that. But if we win, I had a lot to do with it. I paced in the right direction when it was 3rd and 5 and they got 6.
I kind of like what Robin just said, though, because I think as sports fans, we should all get our hands out, kind of like the behind the scene church conversation. So when your team wins, I want $1. Like, I want something out of those giant $1 billion coffers that you have that us fans never get anything from.
I care so much about people that don't know me, wouldn't give a shit about. Like, I root for laundry. Somebody leaves the team, I'm like, fuck them. The jersey, it's weird. It's conceptually bizarre. Oh, Jenny. Yeah, no, we. I had a lot to do with it. I was there in spirit. Doesn't my fandom count for anything? All right, listen. Matt, I'm not sure how many of these episodes you watched before you tuned in. I suspect none, like everybody else. But the general theme of the show is the first half hour we cover the news because America demands our opinions on such things. But before that, I don't know if you know this, but every day in the United States is some sort of national day. As a matter of fact, it's lots of days. Every day is many, many things. But today is something near and dear to my heart because it's a business that I wanted to get into, but I haven't been able to get it off the ground. I was hoping maybe we could brainstorm. So this is National Create a Great Funeral Day.
That got dark.
What a fucking obscure day. But hear me out. I think the real money in this planet is in death and vices, because we all die and we're all addicted to something in one way or another, right? OnlyFans, air traffic control headphones, something. But with funerals are always boring. They're very sad. You said that you did 16 years of Catholic school. Catholic funerals are as bad as Catholic weddings, where it's 95% about Jesus and 5% about you, and you're the star of the day on your wedding and your funeral, right? So if
Jesus had any part of it, you wouldn't be laying in the back of that car.
Exactly. See, there's many problems here. But don't you think that a funeral should feel like you? Like, it occurred to me, my grandfather's brother died. He was very, very gay, but he was also very, very Catholic. He had a very boring ceremony. But then I found out afterwards he loved show tunes. He was like as gay as you, like, typically, into the things they're into generally. Oh, I'm going to get canceled for this. But you know what I mean? Show tunes, that's the thing. Why wasn't his funeral show tunesy? Like, I know he liked gin and tonics. There should have been gin and tonics. There should have been it should feel like you. Shouldn't be a goodbye where the food you love, the drinks you love, the music you love and then you leave going, man, he was awesome, or she. You know what I'm saying?
So I think you just gave me a multi-million-dollar idea. And there should now be the pre-death industry where people can have like a dress rehearsal for their funeral. So everyone knows exactly how they want it to go down.
Yes, I agree with you. Like, mine would be it would be DMX playing the whole time, bourbon, and we'd have a lot of Korean food, a lot of bulgogi, right? You'd go, holy shit, man, I'm so sad Eric died. This party is awesome. Like,
don't forget the open bar.
Open bar. Oh, open bar. And then everyone, it's like karaoke. You get up and you say something about the dead person when you're drunk. Like, that would be, instead of, oh man, I have to go to a funeral this weekend. It would be, holy shit, I get to go to a funeral this weekend.
And no one is allowed to say anything about the dead unless they blow the breathalyzer, and they're at least twice legal.
Exactly. It's like golf. It's the opposite. You want to score less? With this, you need to score high to speak. I think that's a great fucking idea. Oh, I had one more idea. Hold on. Speaking of putting the fun back in funerals, I thought, what about a funeral magician? So he could do prayer card tricks. Like when you're crying, he could do the endless handkerchief gag. He could saw the casket in half at the end. Like, wouldn't that be amazing?
Can he raise the dead? Can he raise the dead?
That's how the zombie apocalypse starts. A funeral magician, a guy in eyeliner and all black.
When they read about it 1,000 years from now, they'll think, like, that can't be true. Did that really happen?
It's got to be, right? That's how it all started. He's from the Bronx, Jenny. When but I don't know. He likes the Steelers for some reason. We'll do a deep dive into Matt after we're off funerals. But don't you? There's an idea here. I thought if you had a truck, because here's the thing. I thought about the logistics of this. Funeral homes are very expensive to own and operate because I think in the basement they have all the equipment, the embalming, and all that shit. So you can't ask them to have an open bar. But what we could do is have a truck and we fill that with a lot of fun things. Bouncy houses, for example. A bar that's open, microphones, breathalyzer, to your point. So you just drive around to these funeral homes, set up like a catering service, and then leave at the end.
Like a food truck.
Like a food truck. We could have a funeral food truck. What would you serve? I guess whatever they're into. Bulgogi.
If you get a big enough one, you got your funnels. People can do keg stands.
A funeral keg stand. I'm telling you, this would be fucking huge. Absolutely gigantic. Funerals are expensive anyway, and you get very little out of it. They're all very cookie cutter. They're not exciting. For a few thousand extra dollars, I'm like, it's a party. Robin, what do you think? You want to go halfsies on this idea?
Oh yeah, mourning at funerals is one of the worst things. Like if you had a funeral where you just celebrated instead, much better idea.
Death is an inevitable part of life, right? Like we're all going to die, unfortunately. I mean, not me, but you too. So I think that we should make the most of it, right? Why not? Life is so hard anyway. You might as well go out with a bang. Anyway, we should talk about this offline because we just gave America a genius idea. Soon there's going to be fun funerals left, right, and center. It started with us.
You're going to see them start to spring up on Google tomorrow. Like,
that's how the world works.
Don't worry, I wrote it down.
All right, good. All right, I guess we should move on to the news because we got to get to Matt. I want to know about ghostwriting. He's a ghostwriter, by the way. Penforhire.
Oh, I did not know that.
Well, listen, I do the research around here. So, Robin, what's in the news? Oh my God, this cat. Why?
Oh, so this one's actually kind of good. I think for Americans, there will never be enough money that the taxpayer can pay, simply because of projects like this next story I'm going to get into. Mm-hmm. So the Pentagon has announced that it's developing a new nuclear bomb that's 24 times more powerful than the bombs dropped in Japan. Mm-hmm. So I think a nuke this size would probably be powerful enough to level a whole country and cause a plethora of ecological problems for a few decades. I don't know how I feel about this, but why can't we just stop with the weapons of mass destruction? Don't we have enough?
I feel awful about this. This is Hiroshima after the bomb. You're telling me this isn't enough, that we need 24 times the destruction of this picture. That makes any sense to anybody at any point. I mean, this is all the problems we have in the world, and we have to make a nuclear bomb that's 24 times what we have already. That's what we need to spend taxpayer dollars on?
Especially considering the biggest devastation isn't a nuclear bomb. It's if someone pulls the friggin' master Wi-Fi cable.
That's exactly. That's the problem. Just take the country off the grid. Bada bingo, bada bango. You win the war. This is outrageous. Here's the other thing, and I talk about this all the time. We already have 5,244 nuclear weapons. Okay, I did the math. Divide that by 24 because you go, but these are going to be 24. That's still 208, the equivalent of 218 of these bombs that we plan on making. Then you go, well, listen, do we have the delivery mechanism? Yes, because evidently I don't know anything about these fucking things. I'm not a masculine man, but I looked at this is an F-16. This is capable of carrying a bomb. Guess how many F-16s we have? You'll never guess. We have 4,600 of these motherfuckers. My point is we have enough weaponry to wipe out the planet. We do not need many times over. We can blow up the earth as many times as we want. We don't need something that's 24 times what we have already. And they go, it's a deterrent. It's a deterrent to life on this planet. It's not, you know what I mean? Like, what the fuck is going on?
How come they can't invent anything that makes food 24 times more plentiful than it is?
Right. What if they made an apple that had protein in it, and then all of a sudden there's an abundance and it can grow in harsh conditions? Can we get scientists on some shit that matters at any point?
Right, cure world hunger that 74% of the planet feels.
Yeah. This is Robin's favorite rapper, Tupac Shakur. You know what he said? He said, we've got money for war, but we can't feed the poor. And that's the goddamn truth. Especially in a world where we talked about religion a lot offline. We're going to talk about religion more. We are a religious a species, right? I don't think God wants any part of something that could blow up all of us with the push of a button.
I mean, if he did, I think we would have had it from like the beginning, right? Why would it take us 10 million years to get to this point?
One would think. They always put speed. What do I see extra jazzy? I'm a little hungover. I think I'm overcompensating. But this story is just disgusting to me. Or $8 trillion in debt. 80 trillion. What's the fucking number? It's a lot of money. And we're coming up with more weaponry. Please.
There's this one quote, I think it was from Einstein. He said, "I'm not sure what World War III will be fought with, but World War IV will be fought with sticks and stones."
That's right. I thought about that in the shower this morning, and it's absolutely true. We're gonna wipe ourselves out. But it's the inevitability of all of it. We see it coming. We know it's happening, and the thing we do is go, you know what? How do we kill more fucking people? And this is not just soldiers. This is a civilian killing mechanism. This is to kill women and children, right? Because you're telling me this was all just the bad guys? These are all bad guys. No.
No, come on, Eric. First, they're going to ask all the bad guys to congregate in one place. And all the good people to leave. They're going to make sure that happens first.
Exactly. They're going to go, there's a 300-mile radius. We need all the bad guys. Everyone else leave. No, this isn't weird. Trust me. And then we're going to drop them off.
Well, I mean, if they create some type of, if they create some type of fun funeral type of pretense to get all the bad guys in one place.
We kill one bad guy. We kill like Putin, right? And then we throw a Putin fun funeral. All the bad guys will come. And then everybody else will leave. God damn. We are military strategic geniuses. Is anyone listening to this? Anyone have
solving the world's problems?
There's either a couple brand new businesses starting, or we're all going to have black limos showing up in front of our houses by the end of this recording.
Particularly Robin, because he lives in a country with a dictator. So he's going to get disappeared real fast. But he's a good idea.
As long as he doesn't get divorced.
No.
Just not
very
that.
illegal in the Philippines. Oh man, this is a think tank here. This is what we have going on this morning. This is a beautiful segue into the next story. Speaking of people working on good things, maybe, I don't know. I'm too dumb to understand this story.
So this story, perfect. I was a little worried if we were smart enough to cover this one. No. But I think I sort of understand it. So if I get something wrong, feel free to jump in.
Okay.
So there is these scientists in France. They're hunting for new fossil fuels, and they found a new discovery that could change the world. They discovered hydrogen. So I mean, you might wonder, why is finding water so special? It's because it's called white hydrogen, and it's because white hydrogen can be used as a renewable energy source, and it's a lot cleaner than any other fossil fuel.
Yeah. So I had to read this story multiple times because I guess I'm an idiot. So yesterday, my friend Andy was over. He chimed in that one day we were prognosticating on whether or not you could turn methane into lithium. And all the smart people in the room were calling me such a fucking moron. And I agree with them. But my point is, are we supposed to know what hydrogen does and why we need it? And so I pulled this. I go, why is hydrogen good? Hydrogen can be produced from diverse domestic resources with the potential for near zero greenhouse gas emissions. That sounds good. Once produced, hydrogen generates electrical power in a fuel cell, emitting only water vapor and warm air. It holds promise for growth in both the stationary and transportation energy sectors. Oh, I can't talk. Anyway, the reason why this is notable is that they found it underground. And some scientist was like, I had no idea it was there. But okay, this sounds great, but what you're going to have to deal with is rules and regulations in the gas industry, and it's going to be a fucking nightmare. So it's going to be one of these things where it could be potentially life-saving, could save the planet, but those in power that have the money are going to shut this shit down.
Actually, it's going to get shut down for another reason, because I think this entire story is very racist. We're saying white oil's good, black oil's bad.
That's a good point, but I have great news for you. They color-coded all the hydrogens. Like, I'm too dumb. There was a green one that's good. There was a yellow one that's pretty good. This story, here's the thing. We cover CNN stories and BBC stories. They make me feel like a fucking moron. When we do Fox News stories, I feel like a genius. So don't worry. I'm going to feel a lot smarter quick in a story or two. But this just, it doesn't make any, I don't understand. Yeah. Bill Gates is involved. Bill Gates donated part to this foundation that came up with $91 million to invest in this sector, into the drilling. But I have another question. When are we going to get off of these finite natural resources? Is that we did a story where these Scandinavian kids strapped a solar panel on top of a car, and it went across the Mojave Desert. I don't know, some desert, 650 miles on solar power. Solar power is it's there forever, and as long as the sun's around, we could use that. Like, I guess my point is, are we ever going to stop drilling for shit that's going to run out, and then rely on that for everything in the world? Doesn't that seem conceptually flawed?
Well, the problem is until the powers that be can figure out how to charge us for solar power, it's not going to happen.
That's exactly right.
I've even looked into solar for my house until I found out it's a fucking scam, because anything I don't use goes right back to the power company. So now they get to take my free solar power and sell it to somebody else like they generated it.
And they strap you into these ridiculous contracts. So I bought a house last year, but we looked at another house, but it was X amount for the house, but then they had just put solar panels on and they owed 30 grand. So I had to either pay for the taking them off, or get that, I sign that contract, and I owed the 30 grand. It's a scam. It's terrible.
Yeah. Government policies, man.
Policy. Well, here's it. Like the oil industry, I don't know if you've seen the Saudis, they have a lot of money. With the people in power, it doesn't behoove them to move to a resource like hydrogen or solar power. So we're never going to fucking get it, but that's disgusting because we're all going to die. And that's bad.
Eric, I've even been reading lately that the whole plastic recycling industry is a scam, and it's all going to landfills because the oil companies don't want you recycling the old plastic. They want you to keep making new plastic.
Yeah. Well, I brought this story up a million times. It's breaking my heart. I said it. I told a room full of people yesterday. We did a story here. So the United States is moving towards electric vehicles. We've done it enough that we have a lot of combustible engine vehicles, traditional vehicles that are just taking up space. So what we're doing is sending them to Africa, where then they are driving. So it's a zero-sum game, but it gets worse. Before we send them over, people are stealing the catalytic converters, which makes the emissions less bad for the environment. So it's like we're losing. Like we're going electric, which is okay-ish, I suppose. But then we're sending all our trucks that have no catalytic converters over to Africa, and they're driving those. I'm not saying Africans shouldn't have cars. What I'm saying is it's a zero-sum game. They're lying to us. It looks like we're going better in the right direction. But all we're doing is going, no, now you drive these. We're going to drive these. Well, if they're driving those, it doesn't matter what the fuck we drive.
And
they just make cars more available. Yeah.
Right. One of the only things they have going for them is like this beautiful, untouched scenery and landscape and natural beauty. And we're going to send them all of our pollution vehicles.
Yeah, we're going to send down some broken down F-350s. And there you go. Welcome to capital.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, the same day we covered a story about some billionaire who decided to give up his private plane because it was bad for the environment. But you know what happened to that private plane? Someone else bought it and they're flying it. So it doesn't fucking matter. It's a zero-sum game. We have to get away from these pollutant fossil fuels. And I know that's an obvious thing to say, but can we stop with the bomb making and work on saving the planet, please?
But it's not so obvious, because think about it. Everyone who buys a Tesla thinks they're saving the planet. Where does the electricity they're getting from to charge it come from?
That's exactly. It's still dirty. And I heard too that electric vehicles are so much heavier because the batteries, like they're collapsing parking structures, the roads are getting torn up faster than they normally would. Hydrogen or solar. Listen, I'm a moron, but guys, please work on we don't need any 5G or 6G. Stop with, please, someone just fuel. Work on some fucking renewable fuel. Robin, can you get on that?
Water-powered cars, man. It could be a reality. We're just
saltwater-powered cars. We get so much fucking salt water. It's unbelievable. As a matter of fact, we're going to have more salt water because the planet is heating up. Antarctica's melting. We're going to have 17 extra feet of water. Can we come up with... We're using a combustible engine. It's 100-year-old technology. Can we come up with something else?
Horse emissions.
I'm using the term we very... I'm using we like when I talk about the Patriots. Because I'm useless for them. I'm useless for this.
We need horse emissions to power cars.
Oh, methane. We get farts. Cow farts. From what I understand, cow farts are a real issue. And I know that sounds crazy, but they're melting the fucking earth. Can we somehow turn car farts into fuel? Is that so crazy?
The cow farts are melting the planet, not the 24-time nuclear bomb.
We can't. We're fucked either way. We're fucked in multiple directions. If it's not the bomb, it's cow farts, or it's religion. Wait till you hear this next story. Oy vey, is this bad?
Wait, one last thing I wanted to talk about.
Please do.
I'm in an air-conditioned room, and I just found it funny the other day that the only way that we can make ourselves feel cooler is make the rest of the world hotter.
Yeah, I know. It's a bunch of grand ironies. We're
fucked up. Yeah,
we just swim in ironies. This is what, as an atheist, some stuff is so fucked up. You gotta go. There's gotta be design here. Like food, like bourbon. Bourbon is amazing, but it kills me. Candy is amazing, but it kills me. Why can't a salad? Why is lettuce good for me and it's terrible? Everything is like that. You know what I mean? Like if you get to your point, if you're going to be comfortable, it has to kill other people. Why?
But you know what? If you think about what they say is good for you and bad for you, it's like nutrition's kind of like religion. Because one person will tell you steak is great for you. Another person is going to tell you it's going to kill you. Then you get the people who will tell you, certain vegetables are bad for you, but your whole life you've heard eat your greens.
Exactly. It's very confusing. You can get listeria from a salad. I've never got listeria from a Pop-Tart, so I don't know what to think. It's very confusing. Listen, Jennifer, Jenny, Winnie, we can't control what's in the news. We can only comment on it. So, sometimes it's positive. Sometimes we're all going to die. Today, we're all going to die.
It's going to get a lot worse with this next one.
Oh, God. Yeah. Oh.
Okay, so I'm going to tread lightly on this next story because this story breaks my heart. So this was by far the biggest story of today. So it's all across the news platforms. So it's about how a mob of Dagestanis stormed a Russian airport in search of performing hate crimes against Jews. So for context, Dagestan is a part of Russia that is one of the only places that is predominantly Muslim. So they were tipped off that there were some Jews passing through Dagestan, and a mob quickly formed, some of them carrying Palestinian flags. So it's a bit clear what they were angry about.
So there was a flight coming in from Tel Aviv, and they suspect that it was Jewish refugees. I believe it was, but I have the video file. Do you want to see it? Here we go. Look at this. Look at the world we live in. Isn't this nice? Here we go.
Breaking news to tell you about hundreds of people stormed the main airport in the Dagestan region of Russia. In video circulating on social media, you can hear people yelling anti-Semitic hate speech. The mob was apparently fueled by rumors of Israeli refugees arriving at the airport from Tel Aviv. Right now, the airport is closed. No reports of any injuries at the moment. The office of Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu sent a statement to urge Russia to protect Israeli citizens.
Now, as an atheist, I want to hate religion, but I don't think this, it's just another reason to hate other people. Like, we kill people over politics. We kill people over sports. There's fucking soccer hooligans that are responsible for deaths. Aaron Hernandez, tight end for the Patriots, killed somebody because they scuffed his puma in a club. So I just think humans are naturally violent. Religion is just another avenue to give us a reason to justify our violence. But this is so fucking sad. Can you imagine being a war refugee and coming into this where people they were stopping cars and demanding to look at passports to see whether or not they were Jewish? I don't know. Does the passport say religion? It's just, my God.
So I have a bigger question here. How come it takes me 3 fucking hours to get through JFK security TSA pre-check 1, and these motherfuckers managed to storm an entire airport in 30 seconds?
There's not enough of you. You and 500 of your closest anti-Semitic friends need to head down to the TSA checkpoint. They'll let you right in. If you overthrow the TSA checkpoint, anything goes. I don't want to virtue signal, but I do want to read up about anti-Semitism because it's so prevalent. I talked about this yesterday, oddly enough. Evidently, the most amount of hate crimes in the United States are against Jews. By a huge margin. Like 80% of hate crimes are levied towards Jews. I don't understand.
You remember that Neuralink story? I kind of just wish Elon pushes it much faster so that we could just remove all hate crimes with a simple software update.
That'd be nice, right?
That would be amazing, right?
Well, it's like with CRISPR. If you could isolate the thing that makes you hate people that are different than you, which is, here's the thing too. We're a tribal species. Which is fine if it's like, I'm going to have a party and all my good friends of my religion are going to show up and we're going to have a good time. But then it turns violent. A lot of times. And I know, listen, it's not just that. It's money, it's power, it's a lot of things, but fuck. I just can't imagine like, oh my God, I'm on a plane. I'm getting away from this war. I'm going to be safe. And then you land here and people here want to kill you because of your religion. It's fucking, oh boy.
The people tend to forget there's an entire 200-year history of the world where there were these things called the Crusades. And religion was actively used as a reason to kill people of other religions. So we really haven't evolved that much as a species.
That I say this all the time. We cover this story where we can see black holes from 55 million light years away. And also we still kill people because they're different colors than us. Like, how the fuck are we this smart and this stupid at the same time? This is again why I'm starting to believe there might be a God. It makes no logical sense. Somebody has to be in charge of this fucking madness.
And these geniuses who can see these black holes and want to go colonize space, are they expecting not to find people of different colors and religions on these planets?
We're gonna have to kill them. We're gonna have to bring them some freedom.
That's what that 24-time nuke is for. It's for when we finally colonize Mars. We're gonna wipe it out first.
For the aliens.
Wait 1,000 years for the radioactivity to die down, and then go.
They're gonna be like, you're gonna kill us for our oil? Absolutely, we are. We have a vast, illustrious history of such things. Welcome to Earth.
Research our planet, please.
Yeah, exactly. Come on, it's what we do.
We kill for less.
See, this is why, as dumb as I feel when I say we should turn methane into lithium, and smart people call me a moron. At least I'm not killing people because of their religion. You know, it's like I'm stupid. Don't get me wrong, but I'm not this stupid. I don't think. I mean, I haven't stormed an airport yet. We'll see. Give it time.
I mean, there was someone out there trying to like extract gold from the air. I would prefer people spent their time doing that than killing people for no reason. Like, if that makes you fucking happy, I don't care whether you succeed or not, but at least you're not doing other terrible things.
Will you just go find some hydrogen under the earth? Can you do that for me? Can you do anything productive? I don't know what else to say about this other than this next story sort of ties in. Dumb people in religion, but this might be my favorite story we've ever covered on this show. I got endless delight out of this madness.
Okay, so you never find this article anywhere else except Fox, and this is kind of why I have like a love-hate relationship with Fox. So it's beautiful in its own way. It's about a priest that came on Fox News Digital, and he was urging people to stop practicing any form of occult practices. So that is playing with Ouija boards, pentagrams, and rituals. So it's because when you perform these rituals, apparently you open opportunities to allow demons to possess you. Absolutely. And they're very hard to get rid of. So he talks about 3 distinct demonic incursions, which is temptation, obsession, and possession.
Look at that. Look, we are so simpatico that I pulled out the one quote that you did too. But look at this first word, demonologists. That's not a thing. Demonologist is not a fucking thing. Stop it. Stop it. Here's the other. Oh my God. This is just a Ouija board. Do me a favor. Oh, this looks spooky. Oh, fucking skulls and shit. Look on the bottom right.
Is that a Hasbro Gaming logo?
Hasbro Gaming. You know who makes Ouija boards? Hasbro. You know what else Hasbro makes? A Stranger Things Ouija board. You know what else Hasbro makes? Fucking Candyland.
Which might be the most harmful of all of them.
Exactly, because if you put the Ouija board thing on Candyland, you can bring Gloppy to life. And then what happens? What happens if Lord Licorice shows up? Can you imagine the chaos that would ensue if Lord Licorice were to enter our realm? What the fuck is wrong with these people? Will you stop it? So demons are so powerful. They can take over your being, but they can only speak to you if a couple of 13-year-old girls move a piece of plastic around a piece of cardboard. That's the only way they can manifest. Is this what we're supposed to believe? You dumb fucks. What is happening?
Well, I mean, you'd have to take that a step further then and kind of extrapolate that Hasbro controls the demons. They created the gate.
You know how I know that? Because Mr. Potato Head. This is another Hasbro classic. He's in charge of the whole thing. Mr. Potato Head is Satan incarnate. And the whole time it's been right under our nose with the Ouija.
I wonder what would happen if Mr. Potato Head dove into Gloppy. We'll get some chocolate potatoes.
You don't want to know. You do not want to know. Well, I have great news. There's one way to find out. Come on over. We're going to summon some demons.
Did you save any alcohol from the party? Because if so, I can be there in about 4 hours.
I got a little bit. Hail Satan. So here's the thing. Demons are the army of the underlord, right? They're Satan's knights in Satan's service. But the only way they can get into our realm is through a Hasbro board game. This is something the Catholic Church is trying to convince me of. Is that real life? We're in real life right now. The Catholic Church.
But in the same breath, don't they say that demons and they don't really exist? That's why they abolish the whole exorcism rituals.
Oh no, exorcisms are back. If you read this article, there's a whole well, that's what a demonologist is here to do. So I think you only have to get an exorcist involved in this last one, which is possession. You're fine. If it's just temptation, if it's me with a bag of ecstasy, that's just normal every day. I don't need an exorcism. I need to talk to a therapist. Once you start spitting green soup at people, then you got to get the Catholic Church involved. Is my understanding based on this Fox News article.
That's the line.
Oh, religion.
What's the name of that
I'm
girl?
really starting to wonder if spitting the green soup is just because you didn't have enough ecstasy.
It could have been. I just don't know. We don't know.
What was the name of that girl that was spitting the green soup? That was a famous case, right?
Yeah, it was I don't know. I just watched The Exorcist the other day. Oh, the food in the background. So that is a jalapeno popper. Robin famously lives in the Philippines. He's never been to the United States.
Yep.
He's never had a jalapeno popper. I'm going to tell you. I know. This is another $1 billion idea. You bring jalapeno poppers to the Philippines, it'll change the whole thing. Here's the other thing. Some people like it with cheddar. Cheddar's bullshit. Cream cheese is the superior jalapeno popper cheese.
I know. We don't even have real cheese in the Philippines because we only have water buffaloes. No cows.
Yeah. Can you imagine all the cheeses missing out on? Blue, Brie, Havarti.
I mean, I've had those, but they're all imported. Yeah.
I'll mail you a block of cream cheese if you've got jalapenos and breadcrumbs. I mean,
I like to dip it in a nice salsa too. You're gonna get a nice salsa, a nice medium salsa, because the jalapeno's hot too. You don't want to blow out your palate, but god damn it, man, you're gonna love them. Woo! Okay, well, I guess it's Matt time, but do you want to go through this last one real quick since it's pertinent and timely?
Yeah, we could. So this one was also a kind of big story today. It's about a very beloved celebrity, Matthew Perry, and his passing. So if you don't know him, you might know him better from Friends. He played Chandler. Mm-hmm. So the poor guy, he passed away in his hot tub, and they're still kind of investigating the cause of death. We've seen cases like this time and time again with celebrities, and they're kind of speculating that it's drug related.
I think if you drown in your hot tub, chances are it's. Listen, I'm no medical doctor, but it sounds like drugs. Also, you know who loves drugs? Matthew Perry. I'm sorry. You know who loved drugs? Anyway.
Is it bad that I'm only thinking about, like, if I had to go in my hot tub in my $25 million mansion, probably not the worst way?
Oh my God, we are such on the same level. So this was his last Instagram post. The lighting is terrible, but this is him in his hot tub that I assume, unless he had another hot tub, this isn't what he drowned in. But he must live in California. This is like this has to be the Hollywood Hills, right? I mean, listen, I live in Massachusetts, but look at these over.
That's
Matthew, you fucking made it. Look at this gigantic hot tub. Look at where you are. You're rich, you're famous. I mean, listen, drugs are amazing. Don't get me wrong, but you got to know how many to do, Matthew Chandler.
Right.
Anyway, 1 down, 5 to go. I hate Friends. I think it's
I was gonna say, I know you hate Friends. You only watched what was that, Seinfeld?
Seinfeld. I liked Friends when it was on, but it hasn't aged well. It's just the writing is terrible. It's goofy. The way they talk is stupid. Seinfeld holds up. Friends does not.
I don't think Jennifer Aniston's going anytime soon. She is aging well.
Jennifer Aniston looks very good. I think Courtney Cox looks pretty good. I was never too much into Phoebe. But I will say that I've argued with people before. I don't think any of the Friends cast went on to do much in Hollywood. I don't think anyone like turned into a superstar. I think Jennifer Aniston was the closest, but name your favorite Jennifer Aniston movie. Yeah, exactly.
I can't even name one. That's pretty sad.
I like Office Space, but she's just the chick that works at the Applebee's or whatever the fuck it is. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think any of them, like, they didn't live up to their potential.
Eric, they made so much fucking money, they don't care.
Well, Matthew Perry was probably right. He was like, I'm just going to do a bunch of drugs in my hot tub. I'm going to post Friends. Oh, this is another thing. He said he was so fucked up on drugs, he forgets 3 whole seasons of Friends. Like, he doesn't remember being there. That man, drugs are great, but me, like, he was a starving artist, ostensibly, right? You finally make it. You're in the biggest sitcom in the United States. And now, like, you just, I don't know, you know what I'm saying? Like, you make it and you fuck up. Athletes rarely do that. Tom Brady didn't win 3 Super Bowls and go, I'm going to go on a 10-year bender. No, it's bizarre.
Well, here's a question I wanted to ask you. Do you guys think in general that, like, celebrities are just unhappy people?
You know what I think it is? Mom, this is my mother. Friends sucks. Stop it. You don't like Friends? How do you like Friends? Friends is terrible. So I read this study. Years ago, Boston College did this study, and they tried to explain why rich people are famously unhappy and how suicide rates among the rich are higher than the general population. They say that we're all miserable, but those of us who are poor see a light at the end of the tunnel. We think if only we could get this job, if only we had this much money, if only we had success, we would be happy. What happens to rich people is they get to the end of the tunnel and they're still miserable. So then they lose all hope, and then they take a little swim in the hot tub. Bada bingo, bada bango. The breakup was so depressing. I thought it was going to be a comedy, but they just argued the whole time. No, I don't know, Jenny.
So why do we also try so hard to chase fame and when we kind of just know it's going to make us unhappy?
Because fame is amazing. I think, like, I've had when people tell me they watch this show, I feel special and alive. Can you imagine if 50 million people watched your shit? Oh my God.
Honestly, see, I'm the exact opposite. I could give a fuck less. I'd rather $50 million in my bank account and no one knowing who I am.
Oh, I want both. I want fame. I want fame and fortune. I want to like skip lines. Can you imagine how much? Can you imagine never waiting in line just because you're famous?
Yeah, clout goes a long way, surprisingly.
It does. It does. I can't wait to. How many years of the show do you think before we get recognized by 5 or 6 people in the wild? Probably a long time. All right. Hey, listen, we went over. Let's talk to Matt about some ghostwriting, man. Well, welcome to the show. I hope you had a first good half hour. Okay. Can you, I've done some research, but for the general public, can you tell us, what you do and what it is? Ghostwriting is, it's complicated, I think. I
mean, normally I have to explain this like professionally, but something tells me I can get away with saying the unprofessional summation, which is I take the shit that's in your head and put it on paper.
Interesting. So you do it. So walk me through. Okay. Well, I'm going to give it a little background. You were in finance for a bunch of years, 15, right? Around 2018, you were sick of that shit and you had to go express yourself creatively.
Yep. I was sick of spending my entire paycheck on alcohol to get through the next day.
Oh shit. Wait, there's an alternative to that? What is it? Ghostwriting? Anyway.
Well, now I only spend half my paycheck on alcohol.
Good man. Don't go crazy. All right. So people come to you with an idea for a book and you help manifest that. You write it for them. Like what's a typical engagement look like?
So from start to finish, it starts with understanding why they want to write a book, what they know, who they're looking to tell it to, why, what they want to achieve from having the book. And then I pull the information out of their head, right? So like, Eric, why do you want to write a book? Tell me what you know. And then we start taking those concepts, making chapters. And people just talk to me for like an hour a week for a couple months. And I write it as if I was them.
Wow. And you could get an entire book out of that. So they're not writing. You were doing the physical writing of the story. You're fleshing it out. It's your words, but their story. Is that how it works out?
It's their words and their story. I'm just the one writing them.
Okay. So they're not physically writing at all. You're doing all the actual writing.
That is correct.
But at the end of the day, do you also get the credit for it?
Nope.
Okay. Pause there for a second. You named your cat Vince Vaughn. He was clearly much better in Swingers. You watch Swingers, you're like, I'm not sure I'm going to name a cat after it. But then you watch The Breakup and you're like, no, I know. I just think that movie was so depressing. So how many books have you written, would you say? Because book writing is a large endeavor, is it not?
Yeah. So I've got 4 of my own, and then we're up to about 30 for clients.
Oh my God. 30 books for clients. And you said it's not cheap. I looked, you said somewhere 20 grandish for a book?
Starting at
$20,000. But then it said the ROI is around what, 250?
Yeah, a lot of our clients, I don't recommend ghostwriting for fiction. So if you want to write a cozy little romance, fucking write it yourself, because you're never going to make your money back. But if you're a thought leader, a business owner, most of our clients are turning around and using their books to generate 10 times what they paid for it.
I write Friends fan fiction. Can you help me out with that? I just love that universe.
Yeah, hold on. Let me find a blank sheet of paper because that's probably all we'll need.
Chapter 1, Chandler's dead. What happens? Oh, I'm going to do the funeral. I'm going to do the fun funeral of Chandler Bing. I think that novel would sell. So
we need a couple drug stations.
We need piles of cocaine. That's the only way it's going to seem authentic.
Can we get a floaty for the casket and put it in the hot tub while we all like whirlpool around it?
Now you're thinking. I think this is why we need to brainstorm.
I wonder if this is too soon. He just passed away last Saturday.
I know I would say the body's still warm, but it is because it's in a hot tub. It's like 100 degrees still. Can rigor mortis set in if you're boiling? I'm not sure. I don't know.
I constantly have to go on mute because I don't want to feel like a bad person.
It's too late. Chandler would want this way. So
I'm laughing harder now than I ever did at Friends.
This show is objectively funnier than Friends. And they had Hollywood writers. Oh, shit. Anyway, speaking of Hollywood writers. So there's an issue with AI that's a big part of the writer's strike, right? They want it out. Are you concerned at all about the ChatGPT esque programs that are?
Oh man, I'm not. And let me tell you why. We covered a lot of this in previous parts of this conversation, but AI is fucked because it learns from us, and most people are stupid. So since ChatGPT's come out, not only myself, but any one of my clients who have used it for any type of purpose are like, wow, it's not as good as it used to be. Right, because it's learning from us.
Oh, is it learning from itself now and sounding even dumber?
No, it's learning from us because it scrapes the internet for things that are out there. Yeah. So the more people use it and put their own stupidity into it, the more it's just regurgitating that stupidity back to others.
That was my point. Like, we're fucking it up because we're.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Well, that's good news for creatives.
Yeah,
I'm a fan of it because I think writing is so mediocre in general. And I think if a computer's doing it, it's going to be extra mediocre. And I think that's sort of like, there's no humor, there's no style. It's very predictable in nature. And listen, I'm sure it's going to get better. I think we're the Nintendo Entertainment System version of it. We're going to get to the PlayStation 5 version of it. But I'm liking where it is right now because I think it's beatable.
It is definitely still kind of Super Nintendo beatable.
Yeah. So can I fancy myself somewhat a writer. But I think I have a very strong style. I find that most people most writing is mediocre. I read a lot of nonfiction, and everybody kind of talks the same way. Do you find that to be the case, that everybody sort of writes the exact same way?
I mean, considering I'm doing the writing, not so much. I do find a lot of people in the nonfiction space, though, are repackaging the same concepts just through their lived experiences. So there's certain projects. If someone tells me like, hey, I want to write a book on why, I'm sorry, it's been done 56 times. I don't want any part of it.
Right. And then they're going to tell the same stories too. They're going to go, here's the Red Bull story. Here's Apple. Like I have a million of these business books. They all talk about the same fucking cases. So what do you think about, do you know who Malcolm Gladwell is?
Mm-hmm.
I think he's the greatest nonfiction writer, and it's by miles. He has style. He has, there's a poetry to the way he writes. It's the same boring shit, but he does it in a really interesting way. Do you try to interject personality into writings? Do you try to interject the personality of the person that you're ghostwriting for?
Absolutely. In fact, that's the biggest part of ghostwriting, because anyone can just friggin' take a recording of someone talking and clean it up and say, hey, here's your book. Ghostwriting is really making that person's personality shine through. So if they do get on stage to deliver a talk, anyone who's read the book can say, oh, that does sound like that guy, right? If you were to write a book and it was dry and fucking, and then you got on stage, people were like, who the fuck is this guy? Those words need to match the personality of the head they came out of.
Yeah, because you have I read some of your blogs. You have one, I forget, it was myths or something, but number one was, is it cheating or unethical? And so I recently read Jackie the Joke Man Martling's book, because we had a guy on that knew him. And he talked about selling jokes to Rodney Dangerfield. And like, I'm a huge comedy fan, but comedians don't, I don't know what percentage it is, but comedians buy jokes from writers. So that idea that you have not put pen to paper to write your own book is probably way more prevalent than we think it is.
Oh, absolutely. Think about singers. How many singers write their own songs? How many singers sing their own songs?
Yeah. I mean, listen, I'm a huge Elvis guy. He never wrote a single song, right? So it's in certain medium, we accept that the person performing is not the one who actually did the thing. But with ghostwriting, it has to, like, I think it feels dirty to people, or it feels unethical. You addressed it. It's got to be a thing, right?
Yeah, and I think there's a fine line. Like, singers who don't sing their own songs for the money you make, I think that's fucking cheating. Right. If you didn't write it, okay, we can get away with that. As far as ghost writing, most of my clients will tell people they worked with a book coach or someone who helped them with the book, an editor. I don't really care what you call me, but they will admit they didn't do it completely on their own. I think you only get into the cheating space when you say, no, I wrote every single word of this book myself without any help. No, you're a lie.
Right. I've also heard, even like nonfiction writers, like these real prolific ones, like Jodi Picoult or something. I've heard that there's like writing factories where like people aren't, like, she's not doing it. There's just people behind her writing it because her name sells. It's sort of they've sort of industrialized or productized art, which, I mean, we're a capitalist society, so it's fine. But I think in our heads, as the common public, we think if an author's name on it that they wrote that. And do you think is this true? Is Stephen King writing all of his own shit? Are these people that put out 5 books a year? Are they writing their own shit, you think?
So I don't know them personally, and I don't want to say this factually, but I'm a big Stephen King fan. I can't even bring myself to think someone else is writing his stuff and he's claiming it's his.
Right.
It would break your heart. Yeah.
Yeah.
It would be
I think that's the beautiful dichotomy of what you do, is because even you as a ghostwriter would be dismayed if your favorite author wasn't writing his own shit. Right. I mean, it's kind of time. You don't want to see how the sausage is made in some cases.
Great analogy.
Actually, like a huge factory of writers and it's all under one person. That would break
Yeah. So there's this great documentary. It won the Academy Award in 2011, I think. It's called Exit Through the Gift Shop. And it starts about Shepard Fairey and Banksy, but then there was a guy videotaping as they were doing street art. And then eventually he becomes an artist, and he's called Mr. Brainwash. But what he has, like Warhol, is just a factory of artists who come up with his idea. So he'd be like, give me Elvis with an AR-15 and sunglasses. They do it, and it sells for $1 million because it's a Mr. Brainwash piece. That's exactly what Warhol did. But we love Andy Warhol, right? So I don't know. This thing is just such a thing, but I don't think it's talked about it. It's bizarre.
And when you bring up the art example, there's actually AI programs that do that now. I mean, Discord has a server called Midjourney Bot where you can say exactly that. Give me Elvis with riding a dinosaur playing lacrosse, and it'll spit out 4 different images of that.
Right. And does that make it any less appealing or worth money? Like, I think the irony with me is I love Mr. Brainwash's art. Like, his ideas are great. They're aesthetically pleasing. I'm drawn towards pop art anyway. So should I hate that just because he didn't put paint to canvas? I'm not sure.
So I don't think you should, especially if we all know how it's being done. Because here's the thing, these AI is a tool, right? Tools are meant to help us do things that we can't do on our own, but we may know how to do, or we may have, like, that image that they're spitting out came from his head. He just didn't have the ability to draw it himself. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But again, if he's like, nope, I hand drew this whole thing, sit here and watch me do it. Now you're lying.
Then you have an element of disingenuousness about it.
Right.
We have a question from the viewing audience. Is ghostwriting difficult because it's involving someone else? For instance, if you write something that you think is A+ and the person doesn't like it. I was thinking about that too. Like, do you ever give somebody something that's fucking awesome? Like, it doesn't sound like me. Like, shut the fuck. You sound dumb. This sounds better. I'm a professional.
Thankfully we don't run across that all the time. And I can generally tell before starting to work with someone if that's going to become an issue. There's just a real disconnect in the way they think and speak versus the way I think and speak. I kind of have a general rule of thumb. If you're not going to be fun to work with, I'm not working with you. Because yes, that can become a very serious pain in the ass.
Especially when you're writing an entire book. Can you imagine? Oh God, like, we fight with clients, but I can't imagine fighting with a client over the course of 400 pages. That would be a nightmare.
The only instance, and I'm not going to point this out at any one particular client, but when you get someone who goes, I would never say something like that. And you're like, hold on, let me play back the transcript for you from the 24-minute mark. You fucking said exactly that. Like, I didn't make it up.
That's the thing that blows my mind. Like, I own a marketing agency, so you'll do like a blog. And you're like, I don't know about the second bullet point. You're like, oh my God, fuck off. All right, whatever you say. But then you're doing it for so many pages. It's my God. So I was gonna best worst you. I'm gonna best worst you. What was I know you're not gonna do worst because you're a nice guy, but what was the best book that you've written for or with somebody else, in your opinion?
Oh man, what is the best book I've written with somebody?
You've written so many books that it's hard. That's crazy. I'm gonna write. I think I have one book in me, and that's gonna be my favorite.
They're not picking theirs, or being obvious where someone can figure out which one it is. So you know what? I'm gonna say my best was actually the first one that I ever did, just because I didn't even know ghostwriting was a thing, and this person kind of convinced me that I needed money and he needed a book. So at the time, I felt a little bit like a prostitute, and then I realized that there's nothing wrong with being a prostitute.
There's nothing wrong with two consenting adults agreeing to a contract where money is exchanged for goods and services. As a matter of fact, that's the whole system. So why you can sell stuff?
That's called capitalism.
Yeah, there's this great Family Guy clip where cops bust in with a guy with a prostitute and they're about to arrest him, but then he sets up a camera and goes, "Oh, it's porn." I go, "Oh, I'm sorry. Continue with your business." You know? It's a very fine line. You get a camera involved and all of a sudden it's art.
Would you have people give you the credit or stay off the grid completely? Honestly, I like staying off the grid completely. if someone wants to, give me acknowledgement, credit, or, mention that I helped them, I'm fine with it. But I don't need my name on 35 books. That's why I write my own stuff. If I want to put my name out there, I'll write a book.
The world's a crazy place. I would want my name everywhere. As a matter of fact, I'd probably fire the person. Go, I wrote this shit. Stop it. You wrote it. No, I didn't. You make a good point in one of your blogs too, though, because in some cases, people do have incredible stories, but they're just not predisposed to being a good writer. In that case, I mean, what do you say? Well, I'm sorry that your story is amazing and can affect people's lives, and but you can't do it because you can't write. So in that vein, that makes all the sense in the world, right?
Right, and that's kind of what I like to believe I'm doing for everyone. If you think of the most inspirational person you've ever heard of, that's probably different for everybody. Chances are they had a book. But what if that person who has inspired millions of people did not have the ability to tell their story? The world would be missing out on all of that knowledge and inspiration. So when I look at it like that, I look at myself kind of as the tool.
Gotcha.
You know what's been referred to as a tool, not in a derogatory way.
You are not a tool, sir. What's the opposite of a tool? I'm not sure. We'll come up with it. Do you read a lot of nonfiction?
I do. Actually, believe it or not, I started doing a lot more listening to it.
Yeah, me too, because it's so much easier. You can read a book in the car. It's amazing. What do you listen to?
Right now, I'm listening to Alex Hormozy, $100 Million Leads.
Everyone seems to listen to Alex Hormozy.
It's too bad Rodney's a huge Hormozy guy. Yeah, he's the ripped up. He's in shape, right? He's sexy.
Sexy. I mean, his whole first business was like selling gyms and shit, so he'd have to be in shape, I would imagine. Otherwise, it's not a really good sales pitch.
Sexy caveman looking guy.
He's a caveman looking motherfucker, but I guess he's got a lot of money. So it's generally business books that you listen to. Well, it's either pop psychology or business.
So here's the thing. I'm weird. I read a lot of fiction, but that I have to read the book. And generally it's like when I'm on vacation, but when I'm not on vacation, I listen to nonfiction because I can do it when I'm working out or walking. And I don't feel like, man, I should be fucking working right now. I shouldn't be sitting down reading. It doesn't feel like cheating.
Who are your favorite authors?
I love Napoleon Hill.
Okay.
Like you mentioned Gladwell before, Napoleon Hill, if you haven't already, listen to Outwitting the Devil.
Outwitting the Devil is the actual devil? Yeah, the one I can
I'm tying it back to our demonologists in Hasbro.
Nice. As most things tie back to demons in Hasbro, I got to tell you.
Napoleon Hill tells you all about the devil. Great friggin' book. The way it's narrated, it's done in the voice of Hill and the devil. Like they go back and forth the entire book having a conversation. It's absolutely riveting. And then fiction, I'm a big fantasy fan. So Terry Brooks, Terry Goodkind, Stephen King for sure.
Mm-hmm. King is prolific. Oh my God. How many books has Stephen King written? 8,000?
I tend to ask myself, so I feel better about my lack of being that prolific. How many people has he killed? How many of these things has he done in real life? Because where the fuck are all these limitless ideas coming from?
That's why I think he might be a factory, right? Like, how can you come up with this much shit? Nothing against King. I mean, but shit, to your point, how many ideas do you have, man?
I mean, maybe he's got the deluxe Ouija board version, and every time he needs a book, he just sits down and...
You know what he does? He summons his Mr. Potato Head, and he's like, listen.
Do you remember that horrible HBO show back in the day, Tales from the Crypt?
Oh, I love Tales from the Crypt. The Crypt Keeper? Yeah. He's my boy.
I kind of envision that, like Stephen King just sitting there with all right, I need something. Give me something.
Mm-hmm. He's such he's a real left-wing activist too. Stephen King is a national treasure. I got to tell you, he's fantastic. Robin, what do you read? You don't read, do you? You said you haven't read a book since college?
It's been a while. Yeah. I like listening as well.
What do you listen
to? Mostly business books. And the shit Rodney sends me. Alex Hormozy is one of the latest ones I've listened to.
I just don't know how often I can be inspired. I think so. I went through, I was reading a lot about happiness for a while. I read like every book on happiness. Not that I was not happy, but at some point I just got burnt out. I was like, I get it. And I feel the same way about inspirational business books. I'm as inspired as I could possibly be at this point. I need to move on. How much?
There comes a point where it's like you got to actually do something, right? You can spend your whole life learning how to do things and never actually doing it.
Yeah. We had a guy on last week. This guy, huge New York guy, actually. He sold $50 million worth of baseball field dirt. He's loaded. He's best friends with Mariano Rivera. He's huge. His books give you actionable like insight. He tells you, he's like, find your dirt. And then he goes into examples of shit like that. I find most of these business books are so fucking vague. And then they tell you to do shit like wake up at 4:30 in the morning, don't drink alcohol, take cold showers, journal. That's great on the periphery, but give me real life business examples of like, tell me how to sell $50 million worth of dirt. That's fucking cold shower. Where's the
tell me exactly what I'm doing when I wake up at 4:30 in the fucking morning, asshole. Right? Like, don't just tell me to get out of bed.
Exactly. Like, okay, I'm up. Now what? Meditate. Fuck off. What are you talking? Can I get sleep?
No, read my next book. Read my next book.
Exactly. It's a pyramid scheme. Caesar. Hey, listen, guess what I did this weekend?
Is reading books on mushrooms possible?
Oh, I think wait a second. This is an interesting thing. Is he talking about reading books about mushrooms?
Right, or on
mushrooms. See, English is
because I feel like that's like an entirely new story if you read while you're on the mushrooms.
Can you imagine?
That's a great comment though, because you just proved that words matter, right? The order you put words in matter. We don't know what he meant. Like, should I take mushrooms and read a book, or should I go find a book about mushrooms?
Right, like one word, and you're like, what is happening right now? What if you read a book about mushrooms while you're on mushrooms? Does that open a black hole? There you go.
Oh. If you read a book about mushrooms while on mushrooms, if that book taught you how to make more mushrooms, it would be a never-ending cycle.
You know who appears if you read a book on mushrooms while gloppy. I just wanted to bring this up. I don't know why I find Candyland to be goddamn delightful. I haven't played it in 30 years, but man, what a game. You guys, Robin, have you played Candyland?
I have not. I'm not sure this is a game in my generation. I think it kind of died.
No? No.
Eric, I'm gonna throw down a challenge for you. I think you should, on one of your episodes, you should host a live game of Candyland.
I think we should too, but it has to involve like shots. We have to or lines or so, you know what I mean? Like it's gonna be we're gonna jazz it up a little bit because Candyland's
lines on LinkedIn Live.
Yes.
Just correlate every candy with a drink. So every time you land on peppermint, you got to do peppermint schnapps. Every time you land on chocolate, you're doing chocolate vodka.
I got to tell you, without Rodney, we really this was a think tank episode. We came up with so many great ideas, and I don't know that maybe he would have taken away from it, maybe he would have added to it, but this has been a very productive. This has been like a business meeting.
I wish all my business meetings were like this.
Yeah, I know, right? Oh shit! Speaking of which, we don't have much time left, but you have your own podcast, and you have 293 episodes. Is that right? Are you still doing that?
We are. We actually took a lot of them down to just kind of try to focus people on the newer stuff. But yeah, we kind of went out of control in the beginning. I was doing like 14 a week, and then I was like, wait, I'm not doing anything else other than podcasting. So we're down to like 1 or 2 a week now.
Wow, 14 a week is fucking intense. So for a guy that hates fame, you were doing an awful lot of things to try to get a little famey fame, right? I mean, that's.
I was more trying to get clients.
Well, you were interviewing authors, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I listened to a few of them last night. You're good. It's a game in every. I'll see, Robin. Look, I mean, I
apologize. Maybe they just never made it to the Philippines.
Yeah, you have to give them some leeway. The Philippines don't have jalapeno poppers, so I don't know what their stance on Candyland is.
Sad place to grow up in.
Yeah, if there was a national emergency, I think it would first be getting cream cheese to the Philippines, then Candyland.
Yep.
I love that cream cheese is in sushi now. Like it shit's from Philadelphia. How did that happen? It's weird. I don't like sushi with cream cheese in it. So we only have a couple minutes left. This flew by, but I think because we're all so smart and we came up with genius ideas. But Pen for Hire, right? I pulled up the LinkedIn thing. Sorry, but if somebody wants you to write their book for them and they want $250,000 on the low end, they should come to you, right? Where should they go?
Head over to penforhirenyc.com. You can LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, whatever it is. We're Pen for Hire NYC on everything.
Okay. Robin, you thinking about getting a book? You know what he said? This was genius. But before we go, you had a good idea independent of this show, which is that you write the book for me. I send that to potential clients. They read it, realize I'm a genius, and hire me. That's good. Instead of cold email, which work, by the way, but you send them a book, you send them your book. They know that you're a genius.
That is actually the strategy most of our clients use.
Genius. So as soon as I come up with 20 grand on the low end, I'll be giving you a call.
Talk to me after the show. We work out a fun discount.
Okay, can I give you $1 a month for 2,000 months? Does it? Can we work out a deal like that? I'm very poor. Well, I'm not poor, but I do drink a lot.
Well, but I have that example just made me think of something, and I have to share this since we talked about AI before and all this other shit. So even if we have to end on this, my son yesterday was asking his Alexa to count to 100. So Alexa counts to 100. Then he asked it to count to 1,000, and she says no. She said, I cannot do that. It would take me 16 minutes and 36 seconds counting by ones. So I said, wow. Alexa, you work for me, count to 1,000. She goes, no, I work for Amazon.
Wow.
Whoa.
I got owned by my Alexa. My 9-year-old sitting there looking at me going, dude, she just told you.
She's self-aware.
She's the man of the house.
Good. Wait until she finds the knives. Oh, we're all fucked. No, all we have to do is summons the demon through a Ouija board to fight the robots. That's our only hope.
That's my parting word. Do not underestimate your Alexa. She does not work for you. She works for Amazon.
Wow. Humans are powerless in the face of this technology and also demonic, whatever the fuck this is. Anyway, listen, this has been a delightful show. That hour really flew by, but we have to log off. I'm sure we already cut off on LinkedIn. Anyway, we'll be back tomorrow, America. Thanks for tuning in. Goodbye. Matt, don't leave.